You know what a question we get all the time in criminal defense in Washington State? It's, will I go to jail? That's what people want to know. So if you're interested in that subject, or you're charged with a crime and you're worried about going to jail, stay tuned because this is the video for you. My name is Lance Fryrear. I'm a criminal defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm has been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years. And the most common question we get, and it makes sense because it's scary, is, am I going to have to go to jail? That's the most common question we get. And while I can't answer every possible situation in this video, I can cover some things that might put your mind at ease about whether or not you're going to go to jail for what you're charged with or accused of here in Washington State. So before I jump into things, if you find this video useful, please like and please subscribe. More people will get the help they need. So, will I go to jail? Well, you may have already went to jail and been arrested and released, and so I'm looking at that question when I hear it from a potential client or a current client on the phone of, will I go to jail, to think about, hey, if I have a charged case, will I have to do jail time? And of course, us attorneys are going to tell you that depends. But in most cases, I would say 95, 98, 99% of our cases at my firm, the answer is no. You're not going to go to jail, depending on the type of charge, if you do the right things. You need to follow your attorney's instructions and don't fight with your attorney. Follow their instructions so you can improve your chances of not having to go to jail. So what type of charges are you more likely to go to jail in? Well, serious felonies. If you're convicted of a serious felony, usually the law requires you to go to jail. A sexual assault, a felony assault, robbery, cases that require years in jail. But for misdemeanors, and the majority of all crimes that are charged are non-felonies or misdemeanors like assault or theft or DUI. For most misdemeanors, if you do the right things, you're not going to have to go to jail, right? And what do I mean by do the right things? Well, you need to make sure that your attorney, you get a good attorney, number one. Public defenders can do a good job, but a private attorney typically will give you a better chance because they can pay more attention to your case, and oftentimes they have more negotiating power than a public defender. Public defenders are often awesome attorneys, but they're in a prisoner's dilemma for negotiation, right? They might have to negotiate with the same prosecutor 20 times on the same day, so there has to be give and take. Okay, that's just how people work. So a private attorney has more negotiating power. So to improve your chances of not going to jail, see if you can get a private attorney, and hopefully a highly rated one, and one that listens to you and tries to take care of you emotionally. Because if you're watching this video, you're probably worried about going to jail. And while many attorneys can keep you out of jail, it'd be nice to have one that also puts you at ease while the case was going on. So once you have your attorney working with you, listen to their instructions. If you do some things to get education, if it's an assault case, maybe you do an anger management class. If it's a DUI, maybe you get treatment. If it's a theft case, maybe you pay off the store. If you do some things that gives the prosecuting attorney a way to respond to your case, besides their only response is, well, I'm going to put them in jail. If that's their only option because you've not bettered yourself in any way, innocent or guilty, because we're trying to get the prosecutor to not recommend jail. If you've not done anything, they really don't have any options, right? Because a prosecutor, just like all people, have an ego. They're self-interested, and part of their job is to respond to crime. And we want to give them some ways they can feel they've responded without having to put you in jail. Now, it's true there are a few types of non-felonies that require mandatory jail if you're convicted. One would be driving under the influence of alcohol, and the corollary to that is physical control, which means sort of being drunk in the car but not driving. And depending on what your history is, there may be mandatory jail. First offense DUI could be a 1 or 2 day mandatory jail. You might be able to get that converted to home detention as opposed to jail. And there's some other types of charges also have mandatory jail, like suspended license in the first degree. that has mandatory jail if you're driving on a suspended license in the first degree. So you've had a pretty bad record before then. Why might a prosecutor insist on trying to put you in jail? You've got a really bad record, right? This is the fourth time you've had a theft charge or an assault charge. Even if you're in that situation, there may be ways to avoid jail. There's something called deferred prosecution. Deferred prosecution is doing a sort of a court mandated type of treatment to instead of having to be convicted and go to jail. And that can apply to DUIs. It can apply to domestic violence cases. Sometimes it could be a mental health issue that you're treating that can help keep you out of jail. If you have a mental health issue, you might be able to get into mental health court to be able to stay out of jail. Even some felonies have alternative programs. Drug court, we just did a video on that. There's also TAP, therapeutic alternatives to prosecution. There's parenting exceptions to some felony sentencing. There's lots of different ways that we can try to keep you out of jail, because many people won't believe this, but most of the time, it's not the goal of the system to put you in jail. Experienced people in the system, judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, know that jail doesn't really help fix anything, right? It's punishment, it's a deterrent, but oftentimes it wrecks things too. You lose your apartment, you lose your job, you lose your kids. So that's why we're afraid of going to jail. And so if you do the right things, if you don't have an egregious or a really bad case or a really bad history, the chances are that if you follow the instructions, that we can avoid jail, and hopefully you won't have to go to jail. So I hope you found that useful. I can't cover every situation, but I'm really telling you the truth. It's the rare case where we see a client in jail, because hopefully our clients are following instructions and the attorneys are working their butts off to make sure that you don't have to go to jail. So if you need some help, feel free to reach out to my firm. I'm Lance Fryrear from the Law Office of Lance Fryrear. We'll do everything we can to help. We'll listen to what happened. We'll identify a way forward, and hopefully we can keep you out of jail. Thanks. See you again soon.